Hello and welcome. This is Shiree with Rehashfiber, and today I'm going to take you on the journey from Musk Ox to garment. As you know, all great things start with that little spark of interest that blossoms in to the full-blown thing, whatever it may be. And that is what happened for me. In 2020, I was scrolling through Instagram daily and seeing these magnificent musk ox from Palmer, Alaska, the Musk Ox farm. Carrie Nelson was in charge of posting these pictures and videos. And the way she described them or narrated for them the musk ox, I just became very interested, very intrigued, and I decided I had to go there for myself. It was one heck of an experience. Alaska was fantastic in every way. It was a trip I will never, ever forget. So I came home with the qiviut, and I'm going to share with you what happened next. While I was at the Musk Ox farm, I bought two 2-ounce bags of raw qiviut. I knew that I wanted to work with it. It is a very precious fiber. First of all, to get it off of the musk ox, that is a process itself. They bring the musk ox into a stanchion, and only people that the musk ox is familiar with comb them. It's a very gentle combing process, and only for as long as the animal wants to be combed. And then they get the beautiful qiviut. Qiviut is 8 times warmer than wool and a micron count of 12, which makes it one of the softest fibers that exist. And it is soft. Like when I'm working with it, I can hardly even feel it. It's so soft. It's just beautiful. Now, to help me on my journey, when I was at the Mac Musk Ox Co-op in Anchorage, I was told about this book, Arctic Lace by Donna Druchunas. And in here, she gives a history of the Alaska native knitters. It encompasses the whole story of Alaska, the Musk Ox farm, how to work with the qiviut, all the way through to a nachaq pattern that she has in here. So, and what's really interesting is that in the different villages around Alaska, they have their own pattern that only they can use. It's protected, which makes it very special. And so I could not get a hold of any of those patterns, of course, but in here is a pattern that she has come up with that I'm going to make with my qiviut. The first step in processing the qiviut is to make sure there are no guard hairs in the soft fur. What works for me is to have a whiteboard down, because then I can easily see a thicker guard hair and get it out. I have a box for guard hairs because you never know what you might need those for. And then my nice bin for the qiviut that has no guard hairs. So this is just a relaxing process. Oftentimes I'm listening to music or a podcast or something, but the real treat is just feeling the qiviut. And then, I've been there so close to those musk ox that it's just really a wonderful thing. Once you have the guard hair separated from the qiviut, you have this beautiful cloud of fiber that it will just amaze you to no end how soft it is. And what an amazing thing that it is. So you have options for spinning this. You can put the cloud in your lap and spin from there, or you can hand card it make it into roll eggs, and spin it that way. I tried it both ways, and I preferred doing the hand carders. It made the fiber much more organized for me and easier to spin. It just seemed to flow a whole lot better. So we are going to hand card some of this beautiful qiviut today. If you've never done hand carding before, these lovely hand carders. And we're going to start from where the tines bend this way from the handle side. And I'm just gently going to put the fiber onto the carder. We're going to just gently card back and forth. So I hold it here with my thumb on the back, and my thumb is here, keeping control and pressure. And I'm just going to gently dig and lift so that I'm combing it a little bit and organizing it, but I'm not being harsh to the fiber. Once I have it all transferred to one side, I'm just going to turn around and I'm going to do the same thing right back. Combing and lifting very gently. It's a little bit bunchy, so I'm going to do just a little bit more combing to make it straight. All done very gently. It's just the most beautiful, fine, luxurious fiber that it just is good to treat it very kindly. And you know what's super fun for me every second that I touch this? How I thought about the Musk Ox for months, and then I got to see them and be next to them. And now for months after, I get to work with their fiber. What a treasure. So it's kind of a rocking, picking up motion. It's all transferred back to one of the carders. Now I'm going to gently just tap it off the top like this. You can use one or two of these dowels. I find with this it's so light, one dowel is just fine for me. If you're using two, you just put one on either side to grab the fiber to roll it up. But one is working, and I just tuck it around the dowel and gently just roll it off. I run my fingers over it just lightly, tucking everything in. And there I have the softest, most beautiful roll egg there is. Qiviut, it's amazing. Now, do you see how this is just going to spin so fabulously, right like this? And you can just spin and spin. It is very wonderful. So I've got my qiviut roll eggs here. It is just soft as a cloud. It is so wonderful. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I spin them up. It's always handy to have one of these gauges because my goal for this pattern is I need to spin lace weight. So what I'm doing is I'm spinning the single, but let it ply back on itself. And then you can check the weight. And I am hitting lace weight, so I'm doing well. Spinning qiviut, you want a fast swirl to get that nice twist in there in those little fibers. And then I just have to make the conscious effort to remember to keep it thin because my natural spinning size is a little bit bigger than this. And that's all there is to it. And it is a joy to spin because it is super soft It's like working with a cloud. You can barely feel it. It's so soft. So it's a lot of fun. You can see here, it looks real pretty, real thin. There you go. It's kind of neat because the musk ox are brown, but you see these bits of gray from their fur, from their qiviut. It's just really cool. It was especially cool that I was up there at the Musk Ox farm in Palmer, Alaska, and got to meet the musk ox, and now I'm here working on their qiviut. Pretty cool. So as you see there, the yarn is complete, and that spin was fun the entire time. Now I'm going to back up to when I was in Alaska. After I went to the Musk Ox farm in Palmer, I went down to Anchorage to the Mac Musk Ox Co-op. They help the people in the outer villages, the Native Americans, with the whole process of they collect the qiviut, it goes to the co-op and gets processed. They get it back as yarn. Then they can knit items to sell, and then they can make an income that way. So I was intrigued by that. Also at the co-op, I was advised that this is a great book with tons of information in it, which I already mentioned it earlier, but I'm going to say again, it's Arctic Lace by Donna Druchunas. And because you're not allowed to knit the patterns from the villages because they're protected, she has designed some patterns here. So the patterns are towards the back of the book. I went ahead and did a nachaq because I wanted to stay as traditional as possible, and I thought that was really a neat thing. So the big tip I have for you that I learned there is if you spin up qiviut, do not wash it when you're done with the spin because it will bloom and it will be harder to knit with. Wait till your item is done, then you wash it and it can bloom and you'll be fine. So I have to share with you a knitting moment that I think you'll appreciate. I enjoyed working on this in the early hours of the morning. It's dark outside and nice and cool and the house is mostly quiet. And I could lay everything on the table and work on the pattern. And then every now and then I would take a coffee break and scroll through Instagram, which for me is only the fiber world. And then I came across this picture of the musk ox. And so I have the qiviut yarn out. I have the project out. It smells like the musk ox, which is good. It's just an earthy smell. And I'm looking at the musk ox. And it kind of was full circle because it was me looking at those pictures 3 years ago that got me there. And here I am in the final stages of working on my project. And I felt a little waha moment. So I wanted to share with you because it was pretty cool. And I know if you do this kind of thing, you understand those kind of moments. So I have here my nachaq, and it's going to be great. The next time I go somewhere really cold, it's going to be wonderful to have this much warmth over my neck and my entire head. All right, so let's take a little bit closer look at it and see it in action. What a wonderful nachaq. What a wonderful journey. I am so glad that you joined me today to see that journey. And if you choose to do it yourself, I think it would be very rewarding. And I suggest you go to Alaska to get your qiviut. It's a lot of fun. Oh, and by the way, speaking of qiviut, if you go to my merchandise section on my website, rehashfiber.com, you can get a t-shirt that says, "Got qiviut?" It's one of those things when you wear, people are like, "What?" But if you're with fiber artists, they're like, "Oh yeah," they get it. So it's kind of fun, a little twist. One last thing. If you've been looking at this sweater and you wonder about it, it's an Isabell Kraemer and it's called Fjolla. I will put the link in the description if you would be interested in checking it out. It was a lot of fun to do and it's a lot of fun to wear. The pattern called for baby yak, and so I purchased the baby yak yarn, and it is super soft, wonderful, and other people think it's really interesting and pretty as well, so it's great. All right, thanks for joining me on that journey from musk ox to garment. Happy knitting, and thanks for watching.